right, I'm back with another video, and I just want to give a little shout out to some of my subscribers and supporters of my channel. Thank you so much to Fairies of Venus. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. The donations that you've given, very, very gracious. Also to Marianne and of course Arizona Raven and Derek, all these people who truly support me. I just want to stop and thank you. That's Ariella, all of you out there who have such wonderful comments with all of your thoughts and well wishes. This is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be here for each other, to hold the light and to be the foundation for the change in the world. And I thank you all. There's many, many of you out there, and I do appreciate every comment that you leave and all of your support. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Jonathan Black for mentioning my channel on Archaic's channel as a suggestion for one of the selections for him to go and interview people. He has not reached out to me, but that's okay. It's the thought that counts. And thanks, Jonathan, for mentioning my name. Also, Kenneth Small also mentioned my channel on Archaic's channel as a suggested channel to reach out for an interview. So I thank you both for doing that. I really appreciate trying to spread the word of my channel and trying to get the message out. Thanks, guys. So I just wanted to share some of the things that I had recorded on a little handheld recorder. My mind was going with all these different ideas, as it always does, and I just had to jump in with a recorder and start recording some of the concepts that I was coming up with. So that's what this presentation is about, is just diving into symbolism that's all around and helping people see all of these symbols and signs and things out here. Saturn's influence is everywhere in our current lifestyle and the current time frame that we're living. Saturn is cube-shaped. Our houses are cube-shaped. Our windows are cube-shaped. Our vehicles are cube-shaped. Everything in our existence is influenced by Saturn at this time, as everything is resonating with Saturnian energy. It is part of our consciousness to go through this challenge, but to wake up and realize and look around at all the symbolism of everything and how each planetary body influences our consciousness as it brings in its power, but that those who are at the top of the chain of awareness actually assist in bringing in that energy, whether it be for their personal gain or simply to help with the energy cycle that is needed for the lessons of soul. There are many different forms in this existence that we are unprivy to, and we may never be privy to their presence. But to see all of the foundations of the energies and how they affect us, and to see the evidence of it all around us, is part of the Great Awakening. Okay, so this is the symbol for Delta, but this is also the symbol for Alpha. As we know in the alphabet, the Alpha is going to be the beginning, and the Omega is going to be the end. The end is death. It's the death cycle. So Alpha is the sun, and it's also a fire sign, because fire is light. Fire is also your spirit. Your spirit is attached to the light, and that's why it's the beginning and the end. So this is the Alpha, and then we have Omega. So obviously the Omega is going to be the end, which is Saturn. This is a symbol for Saturn. As you can see, it has the circle, and it also represents the pouring out of the waters, or the pouring out of life, as represented by this symbol. And also you can see what the life symbol looks like, as it is a container or a vessel for the water, which is equivalent to life. So that's what this is representative of. It's also representative of death, the death cycle. It is the end of the physical body, but it's also electricity, as you see here. So this is telling us a lot just through the symbolism of these signs. Now, in this image, we can see the Alpha over here on the right. Now, think about this. Think about how we are supposed to be writing either down to up, because it's symbolic of rising upwards, I guess, to the sun, to the light of the sun and the ascension. Or we're supposed to be writing from right to left. They have taught us all the backwards ways of doing things. So I'm assuming that's why this is in this format right here, is that the A is actually the beginning and the omega is the end. So this is Saturn. This V would represent the waters above as well as waters below. So all of this is tied into these three things, which again, this is a trinity, if you haven't noticed. This is the Holy Trinity as well. So the Alpha being the fire, being the light principle, which is the sun. Then the Omega being the death, being Saturn's realm. Then the waters is what ties them all together. It binds them all. And we've heard about the waters above the firmament and the waters below. And then all of the things that are in between is holding back the waters. The firmament holds back the waters of heaven. And the tetragrammaton, which is the flower of life, is actually water. And it is crystalline because water is crystalline. And then crystals are crystalline. All of these things are connected through the waters that we cannot see. And I would suggest that because water is reflective, that this is somehow the way that the projection screen is being emulated into this 3D holographic experience. And that the water is just reflecting the lights that are shining down from above, from the light of the sun and bouncing off the waters and vibrating at specific frequencies, that this is the meaning of all things. This is one of the holy trinities. There are many holy trinities. So that's something to consider. Okay, so it did hit me. My spirit is guiding me to talk about this. It hit me that the right to left is symbolic of the sun rising to the east and then setting to the west. And that when you have the cross, which this, we know that this is a septic design right here, having this line in the middle. A Y is actually symbolic of something else. But as this triangle is here, this is the Triforce. And if you write from down low and write upwards, like some of the Chinese characters do, that means that you're ascending in your writing. You know, you're scribing upwards towards the light. And then this, if you were looking at a map and it had the cross in the middle, you would be rising in the east and setting in the west. So here's Monty's planisphere. And if we're looking at this, and this is the east and that is the west, and this is a flat plane with the dome overhead and the chandelier that spins and rotates around us, then it would make more sense. The sun is the one that's moving around. We are sitting still. That means that the east would be the alpha, where the sun rises. It's always rising from the east, no matter where you are in this plane of existence. But it's setting in the west, and that's symbolic of death. It is the death of the sun, the rebirth, because everything about our calendar year has an even greater symbolic meaning, as the sun dies during winter and then is reborn during spring. This is all symbolism, guys. This is how it works. So I wanted to elaborate further on the way that we write. As you can see here, this is part of Hermetics. This is part of Kabbalah. And this is the left-hand path, which is of darkness. And then we have the right-hand path, which is of the light. If we are writing from left to right, then by this chart, it would seem like we are writing towards the light, but symbolically, I feel like since the eastern sky is very significant in a lot of these occult teachings and magical teachings and things, because that's where the sun rises, that's where the light emerges for the day. I feel, now this, I don't know if this is actually fact or true or whatever, but I feel like this is truth, that we are actually practicing to bring the dark into the world, the dark magic, the black magic, everything, by writing backwards. And that may be why some people feel the experience of dyslexia, is because their spirit somehow knows that it's supposed to be the opposite way. I'm just throwing this out there from a spiritual perspective of analyzing everything in this existence, and that's literally what my mind does. But when I see connecting points, it triggers me into talking about it, so that maybe there's more evidence presented in the future about the way we actually do everything in this world, because we know that the left-hand path, which is the deviant one that we've been under right now, it has been getting the upper hand. All of this that I'm learning is like the dark hand path, you know, the left hand darker. It's not always bad. What it does is it teaches us to be more like the light. That's basically it in a nutshell. If you had to get the Cliff's Notes, everything of darkness is teaching us more about the light. And that's the bottom line. But when we know that everything's been subverted, and I had heard in the past that we actually write backwards, and you know, other countries, they're writing differently. They write from right to left. Like, I believe Arabic is one of the ones that writes starting from the right to the left. So this is just one more thing to consider about what kind of black magic we're actually practicing in the world, and how is it going to change? I have no idea, except to stop using words, stop using text and writing and stuff. And that's what these emojis are actually about. I believe that someone sees it to where we're supposed to actually just use imagery, because what we're doing with our spelling is casting spells. So somewhere out there in the world, someone has already planted the seeds for the future for us to start getting back to hieroglyphs and all of that kind of imagery again, this beginning phase of it. Here's more information on El. El is generally accepted shortened form of Elohim, the gods, or Godhead, or one God. Etymologically, however, the link may not be so strong. In its signature charming way, BDB Theological Dictionary states the question intricate and conclusions dubious. Here is the evidence of where I found El is a deity. El is father of heaven, Saturn, and his major son, Hadad, father of earth, Jupiter, are symbolized both by the bull, and both wear bull horns on their headdresses. This is why Vikings wore bull horns. In Canaanite, which is cannibals mythology, El builds a desert sanctuary with his children and his two wives, leading to speculation by whom that at one point El was a desert god. I believe everything's being subverted. Ki, okay, so this is Ki for Anunnaki, and Ki was the earth goddess in Sumerian religion, chief consort of the sky god An, Anunnaki. Get this? I believe An is also All-Father, which is Odin. In some legends, Ki and An were brother and sister, being the offspring of Anshar, the sky pivot, and Kishar, the earth pivot, earlier personifications of heaven and earth. By her consort Anu, also known as Anuna, which is the moon, and also Anuna goes to the underworld, and that is the yin principle. Ki gave birth to Anunnaki, the most prominent of these deities being Enlil, god of the air. Enlil can also be Odin. According to legends, heaven and earth were once inseparable until Enlil was born. That would also attribute to Odin's story, that heaven and earth were once inseparable. This is talking about the fire realm and the ice realm. Enlil cleaved heaven and earth into two, and that's the same story with Odin. And this narrative just keeps changing the names for each age. An carried away heaven. Ki, in company with Enlil, took the earth, and Ki marries her son Enlil, and from this union, the plant and animal life on earth is produced. It sounds just like this prose Ada. Ki, though, Ki is Chi. So here's a different spelling. In traditional Chinese culture and the East Asian culture sphere, Ki, which is Qi, also Ki, Ki, or Chi, Chi, which is also Xi, or just X. X is pronounced Ki. The pervading essence, Ki, Xi, a key field, Chuchong, refers to the cultivation of an energy field by a group, typically for healing or other benevolent purposes. A key field is believed to be produced by visualization and affirmation. This is all you need to know, that your imagination and your belief, your positive affirmation of belief in this imagination, actually affects the flower of life field, also known as the tetragrammaton, and it will create in the ether. The ether is all around us. It is the tetragrammaton. It is the thing that connects us to everything else. It's a fabric, a web of connectivity, of energy, and also this water. The water is the energy that we interact with. So the letter X had formerly denoted the name of Christ, but was eventually declared to stand for the figure of 10 in Roman times. The letter I, as we already have seen too, formerly denoted the name Jesus, or Iusis, but was eventually declared to stand for 1,000. The I used to be a J, and that is evidenced in some of these old Tartarian buildings where they had a lowercase j in front of the year number. And then it later became an I or a 1. And they've been confusing people with using this, but the letter X was the name of Christ. But I believe that this letter X is actually the cross of the 4 elements and the 4 seasons. This is what I believe the X represents. It's energy, it's ki, it's earth, it's erd, it's the well of erd, it's the north, south, east, west, it's the 4 cardinal directions, it's the 4 seasons. It's all of these things. That's why it's so important. And it's also representative of the human body. The cross, the Christ, the Christos, the Christ oil, or Christ oil. All of it is tied into one unit. X marks the spot. And the X is here in the Greek alphabet, alpha, beta, or aleph, bet. As you can see, the X is called Chi. And think about China is an X. Basically is what it should be. It should be XNA with the chi energy in China. Here's a closer look at it. Ki, or chi in American slang, basically means energy. Inner chi, INNERCHI. That's what energy is. So in etymology, the Na of China would be the symbol for salt or sodium. Or if you wanted to get really technical, the A refers to one, the one God, the one man, the all Father, the all, the one. I also suggest possibly thinking about this Chanting of Om. It's interesting that this looks like the number 3, and it also resembles the scythe or sickle from the Grim Reaper. So it also looks like this symbol, which represents a cross, a little extended to the east, I'd say, and definitely down to the south or to the underworld. And then it has this sickle scythe shape coming off of it. Could that be the representation of death? I don't know. We're questioning our reality right now. Also in alchemy, with the symbol of Saturn being attached to the cross, it can also look like a lash. Like for the dollar sign is supposed to be a whip, basically, where you take an S and you wind it around the central axis rod. And if you were to connect the two, it would create what looks like a whip, which is called a lash. Remember, people used to get their lashes from doing the wrong things. A lash was a beating. Very interesting correlations. This is how my mind works now. When I see something, I think about all the other symbols that I've traversed in alchemy and the planets and all of these other things out here. I combine them. Now look at this. Look at how this cross is the elements. The 4 elements, the 4 cardinal directions, the 4 seasons, the cross, the Christos, the Christ oil. Once again, everything moves through time, but time does not really exist. That's what all of this represents. That's why it's a T. The T equates to time. That's why it's a plane, et. They put the T at the end of the plane, which represents where we are. This would represent the plane, and adding the cross at the end only complicates it so that people can't find their way. So the notion of chanting Om, Om being Omicron, Om being Saturn, that's the resonant frequency of Earth right now, I guess, is like it's resonating at this lower frequency, Om, because that is going to be a lower frequency compared to T or C. C and T are the same in those frequency ranges because it sounds the same. It's just the beginning of the S or the T that changes the sound. The rest of it is exactly the same. The E. So, A, E, I, U, U are all of the different tonal frequencies that actually shift and create in this reality. I just had a crazy experience, guys. I was trying to edit the video and it won't record me saying C and T with a very long tone. It cut me off. It doesn't record T. It doesn't record it. It can't record the higher sound. Fascinating. I believe that high-pitched frequency is the answer for the future for us to defeat artificial intelligence. It cannot operate on the higher sound frequencies. Watch, okay, watch. I'm just going to tone this, watch. And it's not going to record it. You're going to hear it kind of go away. So here I go. It can't do it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. And I just wanted to share a lot of the symbology that I've been researching and things that I've been finding so that maybe you can also start to search for things on your own path and awaken your senses to all of these symbols that are out here waiting for us to decipher. I'll see you again on the next one.